There seems to be a pattern going on in the Boruto manga. A character has been dying on every monodigit chapter, starting from chapter 22 with the death of Ao. Delta was destroyed by Naruto in chapter 33 and later shut down by Amado in chapter 44. Kurama's death happened in chapter 55 and Boruto was killed exactly 11 chapters later. Now it's time for chapter 77, and with the cliffhanger of the latest chapter, it seems like a major death is on its way. So could it be that Boruto's gonna die for a second time, and is this sequence happening way sooner than we expected? Let's find out. The new chapter might seem a bit boring to many people, but I think it was filled with many mysteries and possible foreshadowings that we need to solve. Starting off with Kawaki's super intellect, that made him conclude the plan of Amado could even revive an otsutsuki, so he questioned the scientist about this. Amado started weeping unexpectedly and said he doesn't know what's about to happen, except the fact that it's his only option. If you are caught up with my previous videos, you must be knowing I mentioned a mythical creature named Amano Jaku, who's apparently an inspiration behind the character of the scientist. This being has an extremely contrary nature, and he does the complete opposite of what he's asked to do. Applying these traits to Amado's character, it seems like he's actually planning something more than the daughter's revival. Even Naruto has come to his conclusion that the old man is an innocent person. However, it's gotta be the other way around, since Amano Jaku was also believed to manipulate people in instigating their darkest desires. A point to be noted is that if the kidnapping hadn't took place, Amado must have been following some sort of primary plan to fulfill his goal. He would have been left with no choice but to manipulate Kawaki into embedding his karma onto some vessel somehow. The aftermath of that still remains a mystery, but a greater mystery revolves around Aida's love spell that was ineffective against Sarada and Sumire. Towards the end of the chapter, Momoshiki had figured out the secret behind Aida's ability, but it seems like it won't be unveiled for some time due to the horrific cliffhanger of the chapter. Well, if Momoshiki has figured out the secret behind the love spell, it's very likely that it has something to do with the Otsutsukis. Taking that into consideration, both Sarada and Sumire being in love with another Otsutsuki, which is Boruto, could be the key to them being saved from Aida's spell. Or it could be due to the Uchiha genetics of Sarada, and the reason Sumire remained unaffected could be because of the Gozo Tenno that her father performed on her. Shikamaru told the girls that if Aida ever becomes an enemy of Konoha, then the mission of taking her down would be upon both of them. While Sumire also thought the same thing, Sarada still sees Aida as nothing less than a person who wants to befriend them for harmless purpose. But it seems like Shikamaru's predictions might turn out to be true, cause back in opening 10 of the anime, the symbol of Aida's eye can be seen reflecting in Sarada's Sharingan. This could mean that they will share an enmity in the long run, but the question remains, why? Well, it's because of Boruto, so let me explain how. As Kawaki recalled in this chapter, Aida literally agreed to sell Boruto to Code just for Kawaki's safety. Boruto can do no good to Aida, so she asked Code to spare Kawaki and make him the Tentacles folder instead. So why would all of it make Aida go against Sarada? Well, it's because of the cliffhanger of this chapter, where Kawaki challenged Momoshiki for a fight. There's no way Aida won't be a part of Kawaki's team if he decides to go against anyone, which means if Kawaki is behind the Shinobi annihilation, Aida is providing him a helping hand behind the scenes. A Borushiki versus Kawaki fight means Aida will need to choose sides, and since she has already given up on Boruto once, she is definitely gonna go with Kawaki in this conflict. Now comes the big question, is Boruto going to die for a second time? Last time Momoshiki told Boruto that he won't be saved this time. However, there is a factor in Boruto's story that Momoshiki has kept hidden from him, and it's the Jogan, a Shinjutsu only used by the Otsutsuki god that has somehow awakened in his right eye. Could it be that the Jogan will save Boruto from Kawaki's fatal attack? Well, to understand this, we will need to figure out the glimpse of future that Boruto was made to witness. I believe after getting provoked by Kawaki to show up, Momoshiki will try to flee the village, and that's why the Konoha Jonins are searching for someone in this scene. Mitsuki has been really angered, and Shikata can't believe a friend can go this far. Then we see a glimpse of Kawaki with a bloodstain on his face. All of these hints suggest Kawaki attacking Borushiki, which enraged Mitsuki and shocked everyone else. Chapter 69 has already teased a Mitsuki vs Kawaki fight, and if you go by the analogy of the monodigit chapters, it's safe to assume that either Boruto is gonna lose his eye or life in the next chapter. Both have equal chances of happening, so let me explain how. If Boruto loses his eye, it will mark the fulfillment of Garaga's betrayal prophecy. So far, the biggest foreshadowing coming true in the Boruto series. The destroyed eye could make Boruto go hopeless as well as a threat to the village, so he could decide to leave Konoha to train with Sasuke. The Jogan could also awaken during this time, but it seems like there is a better way for the Shinjutsu's awakening. This has something to do with Shibai as well as Toneri, so hear me out. Momoshiki has made it clear to Boruto that if he dies, he won't be able to revive this time. Kawaki admitted in the latest chapter that his hate for the Otsutsuki beings is enormous. Red Karma Wielder then instigates Momoshiki to show show up, and the analogy of the Boruto manga hints for a major death in the next chapter. If everything falls into place, Kawaki might again end up killing Boruto, which explains the reactions of all these people. However, this time Boruto will straight up reach the Pure Land, and his revival would seem near to impossible. This is where Shibai's role comes into play. As we know, the Otsutsuki god ascended to a higher plane of existence and is no longer present in this realm. This means the Jogan would also be awakened in Boruto's eye once he reaches the higher plane of existence. The only other known realm in the Narutoverse is the Pure Land. Boruto could meet Shibai in the Pure Land to awaken the pure Shinjutsu, that too for a purpose. I believe Toneri knew about this purpose that Boruto has been chosen for. That's why he appeared in his dream to foretell the Jogan to him. Similar to how in Samurai 8, Hachimaru reaches the higher realm to meet the warrior god. Later he becomes the warrior god himself, but I don't think Boruto would become an Otsutsuki god. Rather, this meeting with Shibai Otsutsuki could just be a mean for Boruto to awaken the pure eye. Not to forget that all of it are just Boruto's memories of the past, and it will eventually lead us to the time skip. So how is all of this gonna take us to the flash forward scene? Well, Kawaki brings out Momoshiki in Boruto. Borushiki appears and tries to leave the village. Kawaki finds him and might end up killing him, leading to an enmity against Mitsuki and the others. Aida would take Kawaki's side and send Demon to aid him, while Boruto being unconscious lying on the ground. I would say if Shibai's soul connects with the blue-eyed boy somehow here, the Jogan could awaken and then he might defeat Kawaki in a one-on-one fight. However, it's highly possible that fight would be interrupted by Code, who's ready with his 10-tails army to wreak havoc in the world. Kawaki knows it very well that he can take on Code, that's why he would weaken Boruto at first place. The problem arises with Code's character development and current role in the plot, which is way too different from what we have seen in the series before. All the major villains in Naruto and Boruto appear to be the ultimate bad news, but as the story went, the plot armor dropped and the good guys ended up winning all the time. However, Code is an exception here, since he absolutely stands no chance against Boruto, Kawaki and Demon combined. Even with his minion army, Demon could take all of them in the blink of an eye. All of this means only one thing: Code, who's apparently inferior to the good guys, might end up outpowering them somehow. Kawaki would become more concerned about the safety of Naruto by the time the time skip arrives. That's why he's getting rid of the shinobis. Every shinobi holds a dribbled down version of Shinjutsu in them, so if Kawaki hates the Otsutsukis, it's obvious that he hates their abilities too. The Red Karma wielder is not after the humanity, but the otherworldly powers that they have. Boruto, on the other hand, who has been granted the most renowned Otsutsuki power in one of his eyes, will try to bring his misled counterpart to the right path. All of this will happen eventually after the glimpse of future that I refer to as the door to time skip appears in the manga. I firmly believe there is some strong connection between Boruto, Shibai and the Jogan's awakening, mainly because these two events took place in the same chapter and due to a secret pattern that I have observed in the manga. The pattern I'm referring to connects some incidents of a manga chapter to a possible major foreshadowing that might happen in the time skip, like the preparation of Code's army and Himawari's will to become a shinobi that might end up in her death happened in the same chapter. You can find out more about these analogies along with Boruto's second death in this video.